Quarterback Jordan Travis of the Florida State Seminoles suffered a very gruesome leg injury tonight that actually required him to be carted off of the field. Sources also reported that he was wearing an air cast as well while being carted off, and as of right now, we don't have a lot of information regarding his injury. However, the mechanism seems to be consistent with something known as a fracture and ankle dislocation, and I want to focus on that with today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Gallo, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and with this channel, I take a look at sports injuries, and I explain them so that they're a little bit easier to understand. I also go over the relevant anatomy of the injury, as well as what that person should expect when in rehab. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more of these videos in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comment section below. So we see here on the injury video that as Travis is running, he's going to be tackled, and during that tackle sequence, there's going to be a force going from the outside towards the inside portion of the leg, and this is going to provide a lot of external rotation force going through that lower foot and ankle. Here I have a model of the foot and ankle, and so the ankle joint is formed up by two long bones that are going to come down and form either side of it. The first one being that shin bone, also known as the tibia, that's going to come down and form the inside portion of the ankle, also known as the medial malleolus. Then towards the outside or lateral portion, we have the fibula bone, which is going to come down and form the lateral malleolus. And then as we look on the inside portion of the model here, we have the talus bone, and these three bones together make up the ankle joint. There are a few reasons why this injury video is essentially consistent with an ankle fracture dislocation. The first one being, of course, the mechanism. So anytime a person is going to plant their foot into the ground and they're getting a lot of rotational force coming from the outside, pushing that foot into external rotation, you can see on the model here that if it's great enough, it can pop that talus essentially out of its articulation with the tibia and fibula. More often than not, it's important to say that these dislocations at the ankle often come with a fracture, whether it be a fracture to the fibula and or a fracture to the tibia. So it's important to say that if there is an ankle dislocation in this video, that it is very rare for it to happen by itself without being accompanied by a fracture. Another element of this video that makes me think that he's dealing with an ankle fracture dislocation is this clip right here. So as he's laying there, we see that as he lifts his left leg up, that foot seems to be resting in more of an externally rotated position, which is very consistent with someone that has suffered a dislocation. Once again, that talus bone is no longer sitting inside that ankle joint, and if it's an external rotation force, that foot is going to be slightly or more externally rotated than it usually would be, along with ankle instability, and we do see that in this sequence here. And finally, once the injury is over, we see that the trainers and medical staff are coming out onto the field, and they are immediately looking at that ankle and foot area. Basically where he would have suffered a fracture dislocation, they are looking at it immediately because they've essentially seen what we've seen. So that's why as of right now, it's looking like he's dealing with an ankle fracture dislocation because of the mechanism of injury, how he presents afterwards, and how the medical staff reacted. Also, it's really important to say that while the bones are most likely implicated in this injury, you also have ligaments that could be disrupted as well, because in these fracture dislocations, that ankle is no longer stable. And so a lot of times the ligaments, whether it be some of the ligaments laterally or medially, or some of those high ankle ligaments, some of those can be implicated in this injury as well. Ankle fracture dislocations often require surgery to essentially put in hardware to stabilize the affected area, whether it's accompanied by a fibula and or a tibia fracture as well. That's going to dictate where that hardware is going to go. So as of right now, we don't know specifically what has been affected in this injury, but if I happen to hear anything, I'll be sure to update everybody in the comment section. A lot of times these ankle fracture dislocations are going to be essentially confirmed through an x-ray, as well as he will probably have an MRI as well, because they want to see if there's any of those ligamentous or soft tissue structures involved too. Ankle fracture dislocations are absolutely a medical emergency because when they occur, there is a chance that there could be a disruption of arterial blood supply as well as nervous structures. So it's very important that the person gets immediately to the hospital to get evaluated, because sometimes if those structures are disrupted, then they're immediately going to require emergency surgery. So we wish Jordan Travis the best of luck with his recovery. We hope that it's not the worst case scenario of an ankle fracture dislocation, but unfortunately, as of this time, that's what it looks like to me. And with these types of injuries, people usually do miss significant time. Thank you again for checking out my video today. If you enjoy this sort of content, I'm going to go ahead and link one of my playlists so that you can watch some of the other injuries that I've talked about in the past. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.